The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists, Josh Shigala from the Standard.io.
Hey folks, welcome.
Dan Eve, the Crypto Raptor.
I thought this was America.
Martine Wishmare from General Bytes.
Howdy ho, guys.
And I'm Thomas Hunt from the World Crypto Network. Moving on to issue one. Issue one, Bitcoin, Ethereum prices tumble. Cryptocurrencies continue their downward slide. Yes, the price of Bitcoin has fallen 7% in the last 24 hours and was trading at 39,000 as of 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Ethereum was down as well, almost 8% in the last 24 hours, now trading around $2,895. They say that it's down because investors are worried about the United States raising the interest rates, as well as Russia's central bank cracking down on crypto use. Josh Shigala, the Bitcoin and Ethereum prices are down. Why?
I mean, for those that are sort of, they're religious followers of stock to flow, this is where I say, guys, you can't just get some sort of model and then that gets shielded around on every single podcast as like the all Marys of crypto and expect it to be perfect. It's not perfect. It's a market. There's supply and demand. I've never really fully loved stock to flow. I never thought, oh, this is the be all and end all. I think it's an interesting prediction of price, but it's definitely not. You can't just predict the price of things because of how many there are. Like, you can't say, oh, because there's less, it's going to be worth more. Like I could go out there and make a bunch of clay marbles and I think they'll probably be worth nothing. Only because there's only 10 of them in the world doesn't mean that they're super valuable. Now, Bitcoin.
What if you NFT'd them?
Yeah, I could NFT them. But obviously Bitcoin has more value than just a bunch of clay marbles that I make, way more, like infinitely more. But it's just about the market deciding when that value becomes.
I agree, Josh. People became very reliant on stock to flow.
Yeah, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, like any TA, general technical analysis becomes self-fulfilling because everyone's looking at it and everyone believes that the next Fibonacci support level is the one where you got to sell at or buy at, and so yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of reasons. Sometimes it's overbought. Sometimes people are just paranoid. If you think the Fed is going to lift interest rates, I think you're fooling yourself. They might lift it for a week and then they'll realize, ooh, we can't, like they literally cannot do anything. They're in a downward spiral. All they can do with fiat is destroy it and start again, just like they did with the Deutschmark, just like they do with every single currency. Yeah.
Dan Eve.
I wanted to be a believer in stock to flow, and I wanted to see the 100K. Maybe it's still possible, but it kind of does seem that this bull run is a bit it kind of seems like we're on the flat turn now, right? Until the next halvening. Maybe it's time for Plan C. But I don't know. Like he did actually do. Plan B did like a survey. Actually, he said what will trigger the next bull run, and the results were. I'll just go through them. So you can see if you look at 100 trillion USD, if you want to check out the actual Twitter. But what will trigger the next leg up for Bitcoin? And so 48.4% people went US spot ETF. 23.7% said next next El Salvador event. So another country, declaring Bitcoin as the standard. Lightning or Taproot 8.4% and other 19.7%. And so some interesting ideas in there, like the El Salvador bond being oversubscribed, kind of the bringing a lot of confidence. And then obviously other people saying next halvening. I think it's probably, personally, I think it's going to be next halvening. Adam Back said the cold storage supply squeeze. So it seems like a lot is going into kind of dormant wallets. So that's kind of a good point, that they're less, you're choking supply by people taking their Bitcoin out of exchanges. It did kind of seem that there was a mini pump after Russia declared they're banning Bitcoin. Soon after, everything started to dump. The Fed can't print money forever, or maybe they can, because there's an infinite supply of money at the Fed. But the cool thing is that there were records broken in the last couple of weeks, right? So the last couple of days, the record for the hash rate went to 217 exahashes, which is insane, and the difficulty 26.64 trillion, which is also insane. I remember when I started mining, it was like, I don't know, in the millions or something, and I was like, wow, this is so high, this is crazy, blah blah blah. I wonder how high it can get. But actually, Bitcoin's only down 47% from all-time high, and when you think about it, that's really not that much. Like, it's caned off some pretty hard drops, in the past. When didn't it go like from $32 to like $2 once? I mean, we've seen some huge drops. So I don't think it's all that bad at the moment. Even in 2017, it went down from like 19,000 to 3,400. So it's not that the drop isn't that bad just yet. And it probably is going to get a whole lot worse. Yay!
More positive news from Dan. Martin Wishmayer, your thoughts on the Bitcoin market?
Well, we've seen a drop, and you see all the newbies panicking. And Josh will probably advise to buy gold because he sells gold. I'm not too worried. What we're seeing now, as Josh pointed out, the Fed will try to increase the interest rates, and whenever that happens, you see a flight of capital out of risky assets like the S&P 500, like stocks that are risky, but also Bitcoin, because even though we really want Bitcoin to be the hedge against inflation, right now it isn't. It is still a risky asset. So people should realize that. And my advice would be not to cash out, just hang on. And as Dan said, we've seen drops that were far, far worse. So I wouldn't be surprised if the price will go down a little bit more, but it also could also go up. I don't know. I don't really, I'm in it for the technology. That's what I always tell people. So, just hang on there. And even if it might take to a next halving, we'll eventually see that 100K, and it will probably even see 200K, 300K. But when, we don't know. Just don't wait for it. Try to do something with your Bitcoins in the meantime. Either create a Bitcoin business, or don't go day trading because you'll only get wrecked. But do something with your time and just
put some laser eyes on you. There's not enough people with laser eyes. That's why we didn't.
Laser eyes, yes. I tried it, but it really hurts, Josh.
Yeah,
it really hurts.
Those freaking lasers.
Lasers. Yeah. But so I'm not too worried about it. We maybe should retire this magic 8-ball that has been employed by the World Crypto Network, because that thing has been lying to us for weeks now. So, replace the 8-ball. That's what will solve the problem.
Like some people that are sweating right now, like in El Salvador, obviously they pumped quite a lot into Bitcoin, but I think Nayib Bukele, he announced again the other day that they've bought another, I think 415 Bitcoin or something. So, hopefully they're dollar cost averaging, and it's gonna work out. Otherwise the IMF are gonna get really uppity about the whole situation and be like, "We told you so."
Yeah, I see sheets of plastic in his future, just like Dexter,
Oh, bad. Well, we have to say all the normal things that we normally say to you, like your investment thesis is still correct. You still bought the thing that you bought 2 or 3 weeks ago. It still is what it is. Maybe it's just going to take months or even years for it to get back to where it was. And that's when you're probably looking at how much you have invested versus how much you have in savings, how much you have in income, all these kind of things. If you've overinvested in crypto to the point where you can't pay your month-to-month rent, you're going to have to sell some. You're going to have to sell some at a price that you don't like. If you've only invested your extra money in crypto, this is a time to just, well, not financial advice, do what you want to do. But personally, I'm letting it ride, right? I think it'll come back. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum are still valuable and useful, and there's things you could do with them. And if we wait long enough, it'll come back. This will all be a nightmare. Now, sure, you're all wishing that you were those, amazingly smart people who sold at the top and now are going to buy at the bottom and they're going to sell at the top again. Very few people do that. They're very specialized. They're good at what they do. A lot of them didn't even see it coming, or they saw it coming. They didn't believe it. They didn't take action. They had everything hidden away in cold storage, whatever it was. There's a lot of people in your position right now. A lot of people have lost a lot of money on paper, right? If you don't sell, you still own the asset. If it works out in 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, you'll be okay. But remember, it's only a paper loss. You still have whatever you got in from before. And a lot of people have said they've only lost their profits. Maybe right now they're getting down to that point, the break-even point, where you're going to start losing actual money. But again, if you hold the asset long enough, on a long enough time horizon, like Blake always used to say, and I really think it's funny to hear all these things that Blake used to say, and Chris Ellis and Andreas and all the people that we've had on the show and all the guests here, they all say the same thing, but it only matters if Michael Saylor says it. So what we really need is for, one of our quotes or whatever to get into his mouth, because then you'll believe it. Because all the things we said years ago are all the same things that he says and tweets now. But the news interviews him and they're like, my God, you're a millionaire and you work for $1 billion company. Every word you say is important. But that might not be the case, right? A lot of normal people saw this whole Bitcoin thing coming before Michael Saylor.
And if you're truly enlightened, you only look at the amount of Bitcoin you've got, or whatever it floats your boat, and if that goes up, you price it in that. So if you've got a number of Bitcoin and you get more of that, that's good. If you stop pricing it in US dollars, you'll save yourself a lot of stress. If you can, obviously, if you're not oversubscribed and you can't, you need to pay rent.
Always go through these periods back and forth where, like a couple weeks ago, everyone was like, a couple weeks ago, everyone was like, oh, I wish I'd bought. I'd wish I'd bought. Now everyone says, I wish I had sold. I think the key to that, you have to have strength, and you have to have not overinvested, and you have to have income and other things and assets. If you can get by that and you can just let it go, and you can be the one that's buying that when they're afraid, and you can be the one that's selling when everyone's happy, maybe you can turn this around. But again, don't expect 100%. You're not going to get 100% of everything. You're not going to nail this perfectly up and down. Just do the best you can. And, according to this group here, you'd be better off the more Bitcoin, or the more 0.1 Bitcoin, or 0.01, or whatever you're trying to get to. Maybe it'll work out in the future. I mean, we've already seen, $100, $1,000, $10,000, $60,000. We haven't seen 100,000 yet. So that would put everyone back in profit. But I think we're just going to have to wait. And as Martine mentioned, I didn't bring the magic 8-ball with me. Go ahead.
No, the 8-ball has to be fired. But I think Josh is right in that respect, that, if you're not oversubscribed, so you're not forced to look at this rate every day, just look at the amount of Bitcoin you have and try to stack a little bit.
Really bad here. No, I didn't bring the 8-ball. Exit question: higher or lower this time next week? Am I even still connected? I don't know.
I think we're going to get higher. I think it's oversold. We're going to pump a little bit, but I think we've got lower to go. I think Dan's right. I think it'll go up for this week. Then we'll head back down, and we'll find some support somewhere along the way.
I think the price will only go up as long as enough people press the upvote button for this video, because otherwise we'll see lower price next week.
That's why YouTube turned off the dislike count, because they didn't want the price to go lower.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Hey Josh, how cool!
No! Oh, I think we're out.
No, recording stopped. We're still
Recording
streaming.
stopped. Oh, we're streaming. Cool.
Our host
Okay.
is connected. Maybe we should explain to the viewers at home that Thomas is on location and the internet is a bit flaky. So now Josh is the host. So let's turn this into a complete shilling show. Josh is.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah, look at me.
Look at me. I'm the captain.
Josh, can you keep an eye that if Thomas wants to join, your computer will probably.
Yeah, I'll send him an invite link to the thing that I became a captain of.
So I think
look at me.
I think I think it is going to go. It's going to go up a bit, right? Because always when there's a massive sell-off, we're going to do a little mini pump. But I think this seems like we might be feathering into like a bit of a bear. Maybe some cool news will come along. Like what's it called? And I know it's not the be all and end all, but obviously it does have an impact. But Tesla going, hey, we've reevaluated the greenness of Bitcoin mining, and so we're going to start accepting it again.
Oh, I've been told.
And some other shops.
Elon Musk will start promoting the Turkish lira on his Twitter bio, so the price of the Turkish lira will go up very soon.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Once you start understanding crypto well, what I find is that you start looking at national currencies with the same light, and you do see you start to understand why America goes to wars to get the oil settled in dollars, because that's the use case. That's the massive use case for the US dollar. And so there's a lot of theories why they went after Saddam Hussein, why they went after I mean it's
also to buy packages on Amazon.com, of course.
So it's kind of like in the early days of Bitcoin, where everyone was like, hey, wouldn't it be great if they went into a shop and be like, wouldn't it be great if you accepted Bitcoin, except America does it with guns?
Yeah, wouldn't it be great if some crazy dictator started making Bitcoin legal tender, for example?
I mean, this is
small sacrifices, eh?
One of the reasons I started Voltoro was because I wanted Bitcoin to start to be priced in gold rather than US dollars, because by pricing everything, all the Bitcoin in USD, and it's become the norm now, it's going to be very, very hard to dislodge that. It's cool for Bitcoin because Bitcoin becomes worth more and more as the US dollar tanks.
Hey, Matt Bitcoins is back on the show. Welcome to tonight's show, Mr. Matt Bitcoins.
He is the captain.
Look at me.
Let us know. Let us know if we're still live on the chat. You guys
live.
out there in the chat, say something.
Yeah, we can see the YouTube. The YouTube's still going.
The chat's happy. Hey, chat.
All right. So I don't know. What are you guys talking about?
We were talking about you, basically, and that you were shilling Feathercoin with decorations.
Yeah.
In the background.
It's 2014 all over again.
A big shout out to Gerbot, who's keeping the chat alive solely by themselves.
Hi, Gerbot.
Oh, inevitability jumps in, of course. How ironic.
It was inevitable.
It was inevitable.
In hindsight.
All right. Well,
it was inevitable.
Captain hindsight.
So yeah, where was I? I mean, it's just that's why we started Voltoro. We really did want to start to get people to price Bitcoin in gold, because why are we tethering ourselves to USD in terms of pricing Bitcoin? And people, seriously, even people living in Europe, they'll price Bitcoin in USD for some reason, and that's a very interesting.
Josh, just a short interruption. Now that our host Mad Bitcoins is back, you can stop shilling Faltoro now, okay?
I think we should start indexing everything against Feathercoin
Well, yeah.
in memory of.
It's never too late. There's also WorldCoin and so many other great coins that we forgot.
Namecoin.
Yeah, that's a real one. All right, well, let's try to keep going. Let's move on to issue 2. Issue 2. Crypto.com says hackers stole more than $30 million in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Although I guess slightly less now. Crypto.com, home of the Matt Damon advertisement and the deal to rename Staples Centers, as I was just about to say, it even says it in the article, was hacked. 483 customer accounts affected, $15 and $19 million respectively lost. Martine Wishmayer, yet another hack, but this time by Crypto.com. Does it mean more that they have a commercial? Will Matt Damon personally be repaying me the lost funds?
Yeah, well, from what I understood is there were a limited number of accounts affected. People started, spouting off on Reddit that their accounts were depleted. And from what I understood is that there is also like the two-factor authentication was bypassed, which I find strange because, that shouldn't be happening. But then again, that also happened at Bitfinex at the time and many others that for some reason the two-factor isn't. So I hope they fix it. I understood they reimbursed everyone's accounts that were affected. I don't know how much money they actually make, but this is like substantial. So I think the Staples Center will have to go. But overall, yeah, this is quite scary. I mean, I think there's more than 14 million people using crypto.com, and it's just I'm not sure if I have the right number, but a huge amount of people are using these cards. They're using it for lending. They're using it for trading and stuff. So, yeah, this is scary. It shows the importance of not trusting all your funds into a third-party exchange. Make sure that if you need to have funds online, either to get some interest payments or stake a bit on the shitcoins, or I don't know, do some day trading, then make sure that it's like not more than say 20% of your stack. So in case you do get hacked, you're not going totally wrecked, but you'll just be 20% down, which is something most people will be able to deal with. Yeah. So, Thomas, I totally forgot what the question was. I was still, on my Falturo shill thing, from a few minutes ago.
And remember these 4 words: fortune favors the brave.
Yeah, I think it's very
Josh
brave.
Shigala, were they brave?
They were brave.
I was about to say that too. The hackers probably saw an ad that says fortune favors the brave, and they thought, let's do this. Yeah. The thing is, crypto.com, even though they've been around for a long time, they're relatively new in terms of their scope of how big they are. And with large growth in crypto companies, like exponential growth in the companies, what tends to happen is you get a massive growth in employees, and security tends to lack internally because they're just going after the growth. They're going after the scale. And one of the hardest things in crypto as a company is to make sure that the back end is secure, because I can pretty much tell you that most hacks, crypto hacks, happen internally. Unless you're totally noob at building server structures, you can very well secure a network and make it very, very very, very improbable that an outside hacker can get in. And so most of the time it's an internal thing. And now that they said that they had a fault, they managed to get around the two-factor, also shows me that there's an inside job happening, that someone turned off an instance that is basically looking after that part of the network or of the application, because applications nowadays are mostly split up into different instances and different servers that talk to each other. So that probably, went. It was probably an inside job, and so be careful when companies are growing exponentially, putting Super Bowl ads on and stuff. Just be a bit wary. Well, you should always be wary of any centralized exchange that are holding funds anyway.
I just feel bad for the marketing team. They had all this marketing, they had the commercial, they have the Staples Center, all this stuff. And then it turns out maybe they shouldn't have spent so much on marketing. Maybe they should have bought security and good programmers instead. But then it's a very tough. And Dan, Eve, your thoughts on the crypto?
I think it sounds like it could have been a huge amount worse. It's almost like good that this has happened, if in my opinion, right? They've obviously got a lot of. They're very cash rich. They just spent what 600 or 700 million on the stadium. They can afford Matt Damon. I bet that's the first thing they thought. Like when they're like, shit, who are we going to blame it on? And they're like, what if we Matt Damon? we hired Matt to not only shill our advert but do our security. So we've learned from our mistakes and we won't be doing that again. But it was 31 million or something, which is a pittance. I think, judging by the scale of their operations, it hit their share price by 6%, which is pretty minuscule. It may have gone down since actually, but when I last checked, it was like roughly 6% down. So actually, when a hack comes along that's kind of, it's big. I'm not saying 31 million's not a lot of money, but it's not big compared to what assets they have under management, right? So when a company is growing like they're growing, this is a great time to get a kick up the ass to actually start really thinking about security and making sure that it never happens again. And let's think about the scale of that 31 million is nothing compared to some of the DeFi scandals that we've seen over the last year. So whether that was a cause for the drop, I don't think, if it had been a huge Binance hack, then maybe I could see the market selling off that insanely. But crypto.com is still upcoming. I mean, obviously it's a big name, it's crypto.com. So if people are just getting into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, what they're thinking is, crypto.com, that's like, the big one. But I think in general, I don't think it caused the sell-off. It is worrying about the fact that obviously, it does probably potentially look like an inside job because of, the 2FA being kind of bypassed. I've not heard of hackers doing that in other instances. Unless it's something kind of new, but now they're introducing true multi-factor authentication. So I mean, whether that's going to be, I don't know what they're going to do for that. Whether there'll be some sort of
hang on. They're saying true, so they didn't have. They're like.
This is what confused me.
True, it was just sort of a fake multi-factor. I mean, that's just terrible.
Well, this time they're going to get one of your fingers. You have to cut off one of your fingers and send it to them.
Send it to them.
Like in the Big Lebowski, one toe with a green nail polish.
So yeah,
I can get you a toe. I can get you a toe, dude.
They're gonna tighten the reins, so I do see it as a kind of positive thing. I think that the funniest thing about this whole thing is how CBS spelt Ethereum, which was ETHERIUM, and I was like, oh jeez. But they did spell it right once in the article. So just as a quick reminder, I don't know if as soon as I heard about this hack, the first thing that I did was I went back to watch that amazing Bizanarchi. Is it Bizanarchi on YouTube? Where he does a remix of like CZ Binance. It's like this little YouTube video. It's about a couple of minutes long. And it starts off like this guy's like he's like trying to log into his account and there's like Wham playing in the background. And like suddenly like he can't get into his account. And then CZ Binance pops up with like, glaring laser eyes going, funds who are safe. And it's an absolutely incredible video. It's Bizanarchi. It's if you search for it, funds are safe. But yeah, absolutely amazing. I watched it about 10 times after reading this article, and then I realized funds are safe.
But what has been hacked? Has the crypto.com app been hacked or the exchange been hacked? Is that clear from the article?
It said that the accounts, from what I understand, the accounts were hacked. So they didn't actually hack the entire exchange, or they didn't get into server infrastructure. They literally got into people's accounts somehow. So somehow the 2FA was dropped, and they got into specific accounts, 415 or 30 of them or something like that. So it wasn't an actual entire exchange hack. And then they didn't say what happened to the Bitcoin, but the Ethereum was mixed using Tornado Mixer. Sorry, there was another bit. They sent some of the Ethereum to Binance. So what the hell they did with it in Binance, I'm not sure, but Binance froze the accounts immediately. And in theory, it would be funny if these hackers were dumb enough to have KYC'd accounts. So that would be really funny. But
Gerbot brings up a good point here, that it could have been the API that wasn't protected by 2FA. That is also a very common mistake, but that's full rookie mistake. Like, that's just epic rookie mistake there. If that is the case, I doubt it. Let's see, maybe we'll have to get a full biopsy done.
It does sound like a perfect storm if someone's leaked if they've leaked part of your username and your password list, and then your 2FA function doesn't turn on for some reason. Could be any reason.
Yeah,
it's pretty surprising for them, yeah. All right, well, I still don't know if I'm broadcasting to the internet, but let's keep going.
Yeah, you are.
Let's move on to the exit question.
Yeah.
Exit question. It seems like almost every exchange now has been hacked, from Cryptsy to crypto.com. But no one ever talks about Coinbase. Exit question: Has Coinbase been hacked? Did they secretly cover it up and bribe the people, or are we to believe that Coinbase has never been hacked? Martin Wishmayer.
Oh, that's not fair. You're not giving me time to Google. I think they have been hacked, but I think people have been compensated in the past. There's only one exchange I know that hasn't been hacked, but I'm not going to mention them because that would sound like an endorsement, and not being hacked up until now is no endorsement for any future trades.
Hey,
so.
Voltoro has never been hacked.
Oh yeah, okay. The whole shilling thing was over
since 2015.
You know
what we're doing, folks.
I don't know. You're selling gold for Bitcoin to gold, gold for cash, cash for gold. Yeah, it's cash for gold.
No, it's Bitcoin and gold, back to gold and back to Bitcoin.
Just like the South Park episode, cash to gold, cash to gold. What was it? You buy gold from old people, then you melt them to a new gold, and then you sell it back to old people, and then you buy it back from old people, and back and forth. And Cartman made a lot of money there.
Yeah, they got Stan's uncle, a granddad, a treat, didn't they?
I don't know.
Stan, I've sold everything.
No. You're just messing with Josh here. But no, guys, if you want to go out of crypto, you can get into some gold. But gold for me, it's not there. But the standard will be like stable coins now, right?
Yep.
So.
You also might not want to name the exchange that hasn't been hacked, because people might see it as a target. Josh Shigala, what do you think? Has Coinbase secretly been hacked?
Probably. Banks are hacked all the time. Banks are just constantly hacked, and you never hear about it. They just bury it. There's never any news about it. This is the amazing thing about a blockchain, is that people can actually see it and go, what happened? And usually there's such catastrophic hacks. There's such catastrophic hacks that in the crypto space that people obviously know about it. In the fiat world, they just go, and they've got insurance and they just deal with it. It's not a big deal.
It's about the same thing for bank robberies. Bank robberies apparently happen all the time, but they never report on them in the news, so you can feel comfortable with your bank. Dan, Eve, do you think Coinbase was secretly hacked?
Well, I did just cheat, and very interestingly, so there's an article on PCMag.com And funnily enough, around 6,000 customers got hacked this spring, which was last spring, in 2021. And the way they did it was they phished people via their email inboxes and then exploited a flaw in the two-factor SMS system. So, but this was SMS specifically, right? And that's been a problem. I think it's more of a problem, I understand, in the US, because it's easier to kind of get your number transferred over. In the UK, like, they're a lot more hardcore about data protection and stuff like that. But it's quite a big thing, isn't it? The kind of cell phone, like, number hacking, and then being able to just get someone's code, like send a code to your new phone number.
You can try and prevent this by you're changing the email address that's registered at your phone company to do not port this number, and then a plus, and then your email address at gmail.com. Because if you add a plus after the text you put in before your actual email address at gmail.com, it will ignore everything in front of it. So it will still arrive at your Gmail account. But if the operator at the phone company is even thinking just a little bit, because that's always hard at phone company call centers, then they will realize that they should not port the number over. So that's, but yeah, two-factor authentication by mobile phone text messages, that is so early 2000s. They shouldn't do that anymore. Yeah. Josh, at Voltoro,
it's a very, very, very serious problem, the SMS thing. I advise company-wide, nobody ever use SMS for two-factor. It's not a proper two-factor. It's a 1 and a 1.1 factor. And it sort of makes you feel good. But what the hackers do is they ring up the company, who usually have thousands of people in a call center somewhere working for them. They just follow a script. And usually it's about hacking people. So they'll put on like tapes of screaming kids in the background and crying babies, and they'll put on like, oh, I've got kids and I need a new SIM card and I don't know. And if the person on the end of the line goes, oh, sorry, we cannot do that, they just hang up and call again. And they do it all day long until someone goes, oh, that sounds really horrible. Yeah, my kid's sick and I can't get money to the bank and I need the money. And okay, we'll send you the SIM card. And they do. And eventually, after you've been through 50, 60 people, one person will do it. And that's how that hack happens. So just never, ever, ever use SMS as a two-factor.
Josh is very right at that. Phone companies and utility companies have historically been the worst places to secure any information. So it's if you leave your security up to some call center operator at the phone company, you're doomed. Maybe not now, but in a few years' time. So yes, listen to Josh's advice here. Never, ever, ever use two-factor authentication via SMS.
And it's incredible because, like, your phone number is probably your biggest identifier of general data out of everything apart from general government stuff, right? More than an email address. You've got someone's phone number. You can get into so many things are by phone login, like now, like Telegram and Uber and stuff like that. So it's something that really should be nailed down and secured to the nth degree, because it's so much of your people's identity.
Another solution would be to get a dual SIM phone. They're really cheap, and you get a second SIM card which you don't share with anyone. And if they really must use two-factor authentication via text message, then use that second secret number, which you don't use for anything else except the password resets. But what usually happens is those websites get hacked, your number leaks together with your email address, and then they'll have your number anyway, but it will offer you an extra layer of protection. I always suggest never, ever use two-factor authentication via text message, but definitely not on the phone number that's on your business card.
And now just to defend Coinbase a little bit here, they do have a message that pops in when you log in with the telephone 2FA, where they inform you that it's unsafe and that you should change it. However, it's an optional change. They don't force you to change it. You can say skip. So these people might have skipped, a bunch of times past that thing and not upgraded their security, and then been caught in one of these hacks.
Yeah, and the problem is, you can see from their side, you don't want to just force them to stop it altogether and say you must, implement something else, because then they might just turn it off and then not have any form of, 2FA. So it's kind of it's you're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
But it's super simple to install a two-factor authentication app on your mobile device. It's just so easy. I don't understand the hesitancy of it. I guess it's easy to put plonk your phone number into something and get an SMS, but it's it takes 1 minute more. And once you've got it installed on your phone, it's easy.
I don't know that it's all that easy, Josh. I mean, I think a lot of people, first of all, they don't understand how it works. They don't understand the codes or how the codes are generated. They've never read that Tom Clancy book where they talked about, single-use codes, and they have a big a pad, a number pad that's already done, and it's like, today's code is this, tomorrow's code is that, today's code is this. Not everybody wants to be CIA when they're logging into their finances, although it can be lots of fun to pretend, as especially with the codes timing out every 30 seconds. It's a whole mission impossible to get into your account there. The other problem, and again, I'm a lazy user, so I'm totally a problem with this as well, is that people, instead of using Google Authenticator, they'll use Authy. And then Authenticator, when you use that, you're stuck on the one phone. So if you lose that phone, you're doomed. But if you're using Authy, you're back into this whole username and password. If they get your username and password, now they get your 2FA. So
yes and no. Usually when you enable Google Authenticator, you see a sort of recovery code, or you see an extra code. You see a QR code and you see the code. Make note of that code and keep it in your password safe, so that yes, on a second phone, you'll be able to also install the Google Authenticator for that account. This way, you can also use, if you have two phones, you can use both phones to scan the QR code, and you'll notice that both of the two-factor authentication codes for that site are always the same. They're in sync. Yes, it's a little bit more difficult than Authy, which is like super simple to set up on all your phones, but it is possible. And having the recovery code at a safe place also makes it possible to reinstall your two-factor authentication once you have a new phone, without going through all these problems. But yeah, they don't make it easy. I totally agree with you, Thomas.
LastPass also has a very, very good option.
Well, and it's nice of you, Martin, to try to tell them the correct way to do it, because yes, when you do generate your codes, you can print out the backup copy. Sadly, I think the way I hear about it more often is, I got a new phone, I didn't move over my Google Authenticator things. What do you mean I was supposed to print out something? So I think a lot more people don't have those printouts. And then if you really want to get into it, it's just like the whole the will thing, where if you write everything down in your will and then someone gets your will, they can steal all your stuff. So if you have all these 2FA codes printed out on paper, now you have to secure that paper in a safe or a vault or a safe deposit box, or bury it underneath the house.
LastPass or KeyPass or any password manager.
Otherwise you end up writing a song called Hotel Poloniex, where you can't get into your Poloniex account from like 5 years ago.
And they rarely take songs as proof of your 2FA. They rarely ever do that. So, but yeah, it's a lot for normal users. It's a lot for a normal user to have a password manager. It's a lot for a normal user to even try to comprehend what these authenticator apps are or how they work. Especially Martin saying that it synchronizes. How does that work? I don't know. Must be math, right? But most people can't just accept.
It's magic.
Things like that. So it's very tough. This goes back to one of those very early ideas of Bitcoin, that your computer's not very valuable, right? The stuff you have on your computer, your Word documents, your homework, your spreadsheets, no one cares, right? The thing people, they really care about those celebrity naked pictures. And
and Josh, you can continue shilling the standard.io again.
Yes. I am the captain.
Look at me.
Look at me.
Yeah, I'm your show host now.
I'm your show host now. Standard.io is
You've been terminated.
it's really, really interesting what we're building now. I gotta say.
I think this is not a coincidence. Josh thought it's time for the commercial break.
Mad Bitcoins is the captain again.
We'll be right back after this break.
After this break, the standard. No, it's really fun actually writing these contracts. Our CTO is really excited, and we're looking at the right chains to do this stuff on. Most probably cross chain.
So you're on Civic.
Yeah, you're being verified by Civic, yeah?
No, we're staying.
Nice segue. Nice segue.
Yeah. Looking at L2s, both for BTC and E.
Which L2 are you looking for both?
Well, we're looking at RSK quite closely, but also our CTO is kind of umming and ahhing. There's another one that he's really keen on. The name slips me right now.
Solana.
No. Anyway. So that's exciting, and on Ethereum we're looking still at ZK Starks.
Yeah, ZK Starks. Going to say some ZK rollups, zero knowledge.
Rollups, yeah, really interesting technology, like really interesting math. Not that I understand it, I can't pretend to understand it. But when I look at the equations that my
planning wise,
I look at the equations on the board.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, and then get a photo in front of some glass.
That Matt Damon wrote when he was Matt Damon wrote them when he was a janitor. You hired Matt Damon to be a janitor, and you would put the equations on the board, and he would finish them for you.
Exactly. Fortune favors the brave, man.
Yeah.
And Mad Bitcoins is back.
Maybe up and down, not sure anymore. I don't know. It keeps killing the Zoom app. I'm not sure why.
Just sit closer to your router.
Oh yeah, and it's really possible. No, what I was saying before is just Bitcoin is the most valuable file on your computer, and the things that let you access your Bitcoin accounts are the most valuable information on your computer. This is the first time any information that's been trusted to you, a normal home user, has any value at all. So this is why you have to learn about password managers. You have to learn about 2FA. It seems like extra unnecessary steps, but remember, you're dealing with internet money that's actually stored on your computer, or it's stored on Coinbase's computer or whoever's computer you're using to access your funds. So it's very important that you learn about security now, before you're coming back to me later saying, oh, I lost my 2FA, or I never set up my 2FA, or whatever the case may be.
We lost your video.
No idea if this is still working, but let's just keep going. Let's do it.
Okay, cool.
I turned it off. I don't believe it's going to work. But all right, here we go. Let's move on. Check out WCN Clips on YouTube. WCN Clips account. Still less than 100 subscribers. Your chance to join.
Your Telegram is open.
Shorter versions of the show. Oh well, everyone can see that.
It was showing your Brazilian fart porn.
What we think about the metaverse. Look, there's Martine right there. What we think about the metaverse. Dorsey retires from Twitter. Will Bitcoin jump to 100K again? I don't know. It doesn't look so good. Moving on to issue 3, Google Cards to store Bitcoin and crypto. Google has formed partnerships with Coinbase and BitPay, enabling new functionality in digital cards that will allow users to hold Bitcoin and spend fiat. This is the first time that Google is joining into Bitcoin and the crypto industry. Let's go to Dan Eve. Dan, are you excited for Google's digital cards? Is this the future of spending Bitcoin?
Well, it's not like Google are going to be using it. They're not going to accept Bitcoin for like Google Play Store or for Google phones. But it's a step in the right direction, right? Like so you'll be able to. It'll be via Coinbase though, right? And via via BitPay. I think I checked BitPay's website the other day to see if they still had like Bitcoin Cash is like the number one option on there, but I think Bitcoin was ranked above it. But I think they do have SHIB on their list, so apparently now SHIB is a currency. I use that term loosely, that you can use in BitPay. So what an odd world where you can pay for something via the Google like wallet using SHIB via BitPay. But it's cool, right? At the end of the day, it's more companies opening up to actually using Bitcoin cryptocurrencies as a form of payment. That's what we all want, isn't it? Ultimately, is for it to be used widely for people who have it and don't need fiat anymore. That they can use, they can liquidate whenever they need to and just use that as a payment. So. I mean, it hasn't really moved markets, and especially not, turning around the turmoil that we've got at the moment. But I see it as good news overall. Whether you like Coinbase and BitPay or not, it's still Bitcoin being accepted in more places.
Martine Wishmayer, any chance you'll get a Google card in the future?
Thomas, I don't know. Of course it's nice. Google is embracing crypto. They're just embracing companies that facilitate this. But for the decentralization, no, it doesn't mean anything because it's all centralized. And even if they'd send me a Google card, I don't know if I would use it because I got the Binance card, the Coinbase card, the BitPay card, I've got a Revolut card. They keep sending me all these cards and I end up using one of them. I'm not mentioning which one because then tomorrow my SIM will be swapped. I hoped that they would, do some cashback thing. If you pay with crypto, you get a little bit of cashback because, I just love cashback. If I get a discount, I'm totally, I'm in. I don't care what it is, as long as I get a discount. So yeah, Google, great that they join. They're a bit late to the party, to be honest. I mean, I expected them to do this way before PayPal embraced Bitcoin. BitPay, it's funny it's there because I didn't know they were still existing. The last time they were like, that was all Bcash, Bitcoin Cash, sorry. Bcash angers the Bitcoin Cash community. Is all difficult, but they were like embracing the Bitcoin Cash because it was easier to pay and Bitcoin was getting too expensive. And then they created their own standard and nobody used that standard. So that was the end of BitPay in retail at the time. Coinbase, well, yeah, that's the obvious choice. They're so big, it's easy API. So yeah. Regarding Google, great. I'd say, yeah, go for it. Hopefully they get enough people to use it because otherwise they'll kill it off as fast as they created it, knowing Google.
And I'm pretty sure that's what happened to most of those credit cards you're talking about. The BitPay, the Revolut, the Coinbase, all these things. I remember they had them back in the day. There was even a startup company at one of the startup hubs I used to see in San Francisco where they were doing exactly this thing. Their whole point was like, we're going to take Coinbase, we're going to link it to the old-fashioned Visa card system, and we're going to see how it goes. And they all seem to disappear. Josh Shigala, do you think Google will be more successful with their crypto card?
I wish them good luck. I think everyone should have Bitcoin as a payment option. I think it's what we're doing with the standard and other stuff like that. There's interesting things in the whole crypto space in terms of stability. I think Bitcoin's really interesting, but it would be interesting if they did actually innovate it. Like you said, it's not really innovative. It would be good if it allowed you to borrow against your Bitcoin and then spend that rather than sell your Bitcoin in that moment. So there's these sorts of things that, come on, Google, innovate a little bit. Or wait for us to do it. That's the, but actually, one thing that sort of annoys me is the text that they use. Like, it enables people to hold and spend big. No, it doesn't enable people. They're already enabled. They're already enabled a million different ways to do exactly that. So I would like to see them, this is Google. Like, it's the same thing with WhatsApp versus Telegram. Telegram's permanently coming out with so many new features, and a lot of them are crappy. A lot of them are just fluff, sort of, to keep it fancy, little GIFs and little animated emoji, whatever, but they're innovating constantly. Little record buttons so now you can record your chats. It's never ending. It's constantly boom, boom. It's like they release their sprints. Boom, boom, boom. WhatsApp, what's changed it? They still don't even have an iPad app. Like, it's WhatsApp. It's, so.
Well, their user policy changed. That's one thing that changed.
Their user policy changes every so often, and they update for the software with no actual changes. But yeah, I don't actually know where I was going with that rant. But what I'm saying is that to try something new, Google. You've got a lot of cash behind you. You've got a lot of money. Actually innovate with it. Bring back the one workday week where employees could do something interesting.
Thomas, you just mentioned that many of those cards from yesteryears, they are no longer there. But there's an explanation for that. You'll find that the cards issued by, say, Coinbase, Binance, and Crypto.com, they all still work. But back in the days when it was the card to crypto was a bit of a hack. What they did is they used a Visa and MasterCards, and they created either a loyalty program card, or they created employee cards, and they misused that to facilitate money transfer business from crypto to fiat. And that violates policies at MasterCard and at Visa and any other issue. I don't know if there are any, but that violates policy. So once those issuers got up to, say, 100,000 cards, and people actually started using them, they immediately canceled all the 100,000 cards. And then this small company, which never had a customer support call before, all of a sudden got bombarded by phone calls with angry people like, "Where's my money? This is a scam. You know how cryptocurrency community generally responds. So they will be overloaded. So people would take their grief onto social media and tell them it's a scam. They're not picking up my phone. So that will be the end of it. Even if they would be able to continue later, their reputation was already broken. And we all know how it works. Reputation is like fine china. Once it's broken, it's really hard to repair. So that's the reason most of those early crypto cards to crypto payment thingies, they didn't work because they were an ugly hack. But the ones you get nowadays, yeah, they still work.
And I think this goes well into the exit question. Everyone wants a Bitcoin bank where you could put your Bitcoin in, it would hold your Bitcoin, you could convert it to Visa or whatever and spend your Bitcoin, maybe even do that lending thing that Josh is about, save some of your Bitcoin, borrow against it, spend that money in the now. Who will do it? Will it be Google, Visa, Amazon, Coinbase? We've all been waiting for it. Who's going to do it? Martine Wishmayer, will it be, or let's go to Josh Agala first. You're ready. Go ahead.
It's going to be decentralized. It's happening on decentralized protocols. It doesn't need centralized authorities. That's why we're building the smart contracts decentralized. You don't need, and you don't want to trust. The whole point of Bitcoin was to decentralize as much possible. And so we don't want to trust Bitcoin, especially when you're borrowing from yourself. Why go to a pawn shop to put your stuff there and request money and then they hold it? Why trust that shop? Just have the lending from yourself. You've got the private key. You can go in there, but you can also get liquidated if you have hardcore downturns like today.
Dan, Eve.
Yeah, I think decentralization is the way to go. People, the whole point of Bitcoin is to not have trusted third parties. So if we decentralize it, that's the better approach. And with Taproot, there's still very early days in terms of being able to take advantage of smart contracts on that. With Ethereum, there's a lot of infrastructure to let you borrow against assets now, like DAI and make it down, loads of different ones. So I think we'll probably see a lot of the experimentation come from that side. Whether there'll be an Ethereum linked kind of loan your own, loan stables off of your Ethereum and then spend it on a Visa card. That's it seems like a bit of a tricky thing to implement, but I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it on any coin.
Well, and like Dan or like Josh was saying, Visa is centralized, Bitcoin is decentralized. So it's going to be very difficult to connect the two together and to still have the benefits that you get from decentralization or the benefits you get from using the centralized Visa network. Martin Wismayer, your thoughts? Who will create the perfect Bitcoin bank?
I agree with Josh and Dan that I think that the future will be decentralized, but as you point out, because the card issuers are centralized, it will be the card issuers that will have to provide a decentralized solution. So yeah, that will be a centralized component. If we're talking about, as you said, like Bitcoin Bank, I think for now, Crypto.com is already very close to that. They're not a bank, they're not insured, but you can store fiat there. You can get a loan on your crypto. You can have a card with a fiat balance. You can convert your crypto there. Your crypto that you don't use, you can get some interest on. So many of those services are already there. But as Josh said, yeah, why trust this shady man who just lost $30-something million with your hard-earned cash? We need a decentralized solution, even though that doesn't necessarily mean that the money is safer. Just look at all those DeFi hacks. But then in the long run, if it works for a long time without any problems, and it's been audited, there's a good chance that it will stay, and it will work. I don't know who will do it, but I think we'll first see, say, Kraken, Coinbase, Crypto.com. Those will be the first parties to really offer like a bank for crypto. But then again, if you just want to hold crypto, just get yourself a hardware wallet like a Trezor and be done with it. Don't trust another party.
All right, moving on to issue 4. Issue 4. Solana NFT project rug pulls investors for $1.3 million despite Civic verification. The Big Daddy Ape Club turned out to be not such a Big Daddy Ape Club. Scammers pulled off one of the largest NFT rug pulls in history with the Solana blockchain. The robbers made off with 9,000 Solana, worth about $1.3 million at the time, as the collectors were expecting to mint Big Daddy Ape Club's NFTs, except there were no NFTs. The creators of the Big Daddy Ape Clubs were able to abscond despite they were being verified by decentralized identity verification company Civic, who famously sold a token, and I haven't heard from them since. Let's go to Dan, Eve, your thoughts on the NFT scam and the fact that the creators were verified by Civic, so you could trust it.
Oh, well, it's obviously totally savage that the people didn't even get the NFTs, right? So they took the Solana, they probably made all the effort doing the designs and doing the generation thing, and then just didn't even give them the NFTs. So that is pretty savage. On the upside, Solana's down about 40%. So it's not 1.3 million anymore. Whether that's not really a positive, but yeah, the Civics. It's interesting they're still doing stuff. Because they obviously they did a lot of shilling back in the day in 2017. They're one of the first ICO queuing systems, and Vinny Ingham was all over it. I remember that, and then 2018, the last I heard of them, there was like a vending machine at Consensus New York, and I went over to it, and you could like KYC yourself and then buy a drink. Which seemed a bit odd, but so it's good to see that they're still designing stuff.
It was an alcoholic drink. You could buy an alcoholic drink.
Oh, that's extra special. But the problem is that you have even if you verify someone, you can't verify that they're not going to scam you, right? So in Civic's defense, you can say that the actual The people were doxxed, etc. But you can't stop them from then going on and scamming people. And it's just pretty savage that they didn't give them the NFTs. I read also again that some of the funds, like the previous hack we talked about, were transferred to Binance. So that's a pretty weird thing. And the other thing is that the Civic, I think they had the Ignite Pass, one of their other bits of kind of verification software. That also had issues with that, and another NFT cell called Mortuary Inc. NFT. So whilst you can dox yourself via these sites, I think if anyone's into trying to buy NFTs from one of these kind of generation things, you just got to be really careful, because even if the people are doxed, they can still run away with your money. And that's the sad thing about it. And there's such, I looked at OpenSea earlier, there's almost all of them. I mean, there's 4 ape type clones in there, right? There's the Bored Ape Yacht Club, there's this Daddy Ape thing, there's the mutant apes, there's bunnies. They're obviously, they're all the rage right now, but just be careful when you're buying into apes. Be careful when you're aping into apes.
Martine Wishmayer, your thoughts on the NFT hack? Now I got no sound at all.
Now it's really quiet.
It's really quiet. You have to be closer to the microphone.
I'm right up in the microphone. There's nothing else going here, man.
You get all up in its grill.
It's this feather coin icon thing in the background that is causing.
It's sapping your superpower.
The volume thing has totally lost the question. What do I think
auto
about?
Gain turned on or something?
The NFT thing. I don't know. I didn't read the article. I just looked at the image. And Thomas, you just showed the article, and it looked like this ape had a big headache. So yeah, I can understand people are frustrated by it. But I honestly can't comment on this article. I don't have Solana. I know the community is working on getting support in the ATMs for it, and NFTs are all the rage. But I only follow curio cards, and for the rest, I'm not really into NFTs.
Yeah. No, I just got.
Go ahead, Josh. I don't know if I can talk at all anymore. Go ahead.
Oh, it's kind of going up a little bit. Yeah, it's all right.
It's on the up.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Dan said. It really is savage that they didn't just generate the NFTs. They could at least be like, oh, these are the ones. But then would it be a rug pull because they would just run off? They're just buying the NFTs off someone. If you're going to do all that work, why not just generate the NFTs? What the hell's wrong with people? It's really unfortunate. But yeah.
Well, I don't know if anyone can hear me anymore, so I'm just going to talk louder now. But yeah, I don't know. Now you say it's loud now.
No, it's perfect.
No, it's good. We're sorry.
Anyway, the reason we brought this up was partially to mention Civic, because they're an old-time ICO coin, and a lot of people lost a lot of money on Civic. But also to go back to my startup days with BTC Jam. We used to try to give loans in Bitcoin, and it was a risky and a crazy idea. And what we learned instead is not so much about loans or Bitcoin. We learned that there are many, many more scammers out there on the internet than you think. And if you put up something like a BTC Jam where you can get a loan in Bitcoin and just take the money off the site and walk away with it, people are going to create the most inventive scams. Like right now we're talking about these guys were verified. Maybe they held up their ID and they looked at the camera. Well, if you have an office full of secretaries, you can say, okay, secretaries, if you want to keep working here, everyone's going to hold up their ID and take a picture with the camera. And suddenly you have 20 different secretary accounts you can use to take out loans, create NFTs, whatever your scam is. So it's so difficult to verify people's identity on the internet. And I know we don't want to go to this, but with the problems that they're having on Twitter and Facebook with misinformation coming from false accounts. And again, I'm old internet as old internet could be. I remember anonymity and having a handle and an alias and all these things, but maybe we need to have a second level here where you can only enter the internet if you use your real name. And we need to start going to real name identity and verification and so
Oh,
forth.
Jesus
Christ. Are you crazy?
I don't know how you're going to stop the.
I thought this was America.
Problem
Yeah, this
and
is
the other things, man.
Full
You got to look at it from
Never
like
go full
we tried.
retard.
We tried the anonymity thing, and it led to this point where anyone can create propaganda now. So maybe we don't need so much propaganda. Maybe we need more authenticity, and we need to look at our system and say, is total anonymity creating any authenticity at all?
No, I think Matt Bitcoins is losing his marbles here because, this is the idea. The whole idea is that nobody knows you're a dog on the internet. And I like it like that. Unfortunately, you're right. If it concerns financial transactions, it does attract a lot of scammers, and this is a struggle we have with the ATMs too. That we by law need to be our clients need to be able to verify their clients, the ATM users, whether they're real. And you see them being so inventive with photocopied IDs. For the French ID cards, you can get the font online on dark markets, so you can copy paste, you can create your own ID card, French ID card. But then we implemented like this third-party service that I will not name because it would mean an endorsement, and I'm not here to give endorsements. But and what they do is they take your ID and with a camera, they require you to move it a bit like this. So they will be able to detect with AI whether it's a photocopied ID or a self-printed ID, and whether the hologram is there. So that's the first check. Then they do a face check also with AI, and they compare it to the ID that you just scanned. Thing is, I have a beard. I always fail this ID check. So if you want to be anonymous in the future, grow a beard. So that's, and when that fails, then only then you are relayed to a live operator that will actually verify you as a person. But many of the fraud checks are already done via AI, and thus reducing costs of onboarding new clients. But we started screaming that you lost it when you said that only authenticated people should be able to use the internet. That's what they have in China, and I think this is just wrong. We need anonymity. It is a vital part of our lives to have some sort of privacy. And if you have to be authenticated before you go onto the internet, you will behave differently, and it's not always a good thing. So yeah.
Actually, eBay really tackled this problem well back in the early days, because they saw every scam under the sun as well. And really what it comes down to is that when they invented the rating system, it cut the scams a lot. Of course, scams keep going, but what happened was when people had to build up a reputation, otherwise they had to sell a lot cheaper. Once they had a really good reputation, they could sell more expensive because people would trust them, and build that reputation up. And that's where I think we need to go in the internet. We need to build avatars and build reputations around those avatars. Yeah, sure, you could say, well, there's a long tail game there where you build up reputation, then scam everyone and start again. But it's definitely a much better way to go than building this flesh and blood up. Because if this flesh and blood, this verification gets stolen, which it does all the time, people's IDs get stolen all the time, you can't take it back. You can't reset this. If you build an avatar, you can actually reset that or cancel it everywhere. And if someone tries to use it, it comes up canceled. But if this flesh and blood, this face, once you have that, it's gone, it's out there.
So you're saying an avatar like an NFT?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm still not totally convinced here, and I don't know what the right solution is, because it's probably not an ID card, and it's probably not a biorhythm, although I think more and more that's the way that we're heading, where what Josh is saying is true. These unique things about you will be used to create your identity, which will then, like Martine said, be able to judge your behavior online. We have many people with fake identities that are misbehaving, and the question is, if they were using their real identity that mattered to them, would they behave this way? Would they attack these servers? I mean, I don't know what the future is going to be, but I'm not so certain that this early idea, a lot of the early computer geek ideas have failed us. They've left us this open system of Facebook false information attackers and Twitter propagandists and all these other things where we just have lost all control. And yeah, that was the plan, right? That was the whole, it was fun. Anarchy, cyberpunk, lost all control there. We've built it and there is no control and we're having bad results from it. So I just don't know about, if you build a system that has bad results, why you keep using that to not maybe redesign that system from the ground up. And it's more complicated than just a discussion here, but the
it's not
idea,
from the ground up. What
you
you're
think
talking
about
is
it,
from the
even if
top
you're
down.
against it, think about the idea.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind from the ground up. It's the top down that worries me.
I think it's important people will be able to be anonymous on the internet. Otherwise, they will not share their sexy time pictures anymore longer.
Oh yeah, giggity goo.
Giggity goo.
But the problem is, like, I think, if there are certain things that people should be able to discuss, but they get attacked for saying something that kind of, opposes what the common. Oh, he goes. He is the captain again.
Aha! It's time for an ad break.
Yeah.
Here at tomorrow.
You've been
Is the Bitcoin
censored.
price up? Why
Tom's
not
been
see us?
censored.
We'll be right back after these messages. Josh Shill, the standard IO again.
So I just want to let people know that we invented Voltoria after the Mount Gox. That's actually what happened after Mount Gox got hacked. I decided this is it. This is enough. I'm going to build the most transparent exchange in the world. And then we launched Voltoria.com in 2015.
And we're back. The host is back.
3, 2, 1, you're back in the room. Oh, he's frozen. Is he frozen?
I think it's a hologram.
I think he's being ID'd.
Yeah,
Please,
he failed
please provide
identification.
You've been frozen in time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Your ID doesn't hold up, mate.
Your feather coin is no good here. Oh, the poor Thomas. I feel sorry for him. No fast internet.
He's used to like mega internet, faster internet than anyone can imagine. And he's had to, and the Airbnb didn't supply.
I would definitely file a complaint, ask for money back. It said in the advertisement, fast broadband internet available.
Tether. What about tethering 5G? Tether, the 5G. Do you have 5G over there, Tom?
Does your mobile phone even work where you are now?
Doesn't even say, he hasn't even got 1G.
Look at
Oh,
me.
dear. I am the captain.
This is one of the best memes ever on the internet.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Where it cycles through it cycles through the different hats, like the different captains he is.
Yeah.
I love it.
Someone made a meme of me doing that to central banks, saying, "We are the central bank now."
Nice.
That's the only meme of me I've ever seen. I liked it.
And he's back. Is it Thomas or is it this hologram? We will find out.
My internet's working for another 30 seconds.
Yes,
Oh,
it is.
we're back.
Another 30 seconds of internet. So, well, you can't tell without a proof of identity. So you're going to need that new system that I'm talking about. But people talk about this. I have no idea anymore.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, I think we covered it.
I can't tell if anyone's here. Josh, do you want to do predictions or story of the week? Let's head towards the end.
Yeah, story of the week is everyone's back at work and we're working like crazy. And I'm thinking of going to an Acapulco. Jeff asked me to talk there. So it's, I think that sounds fun. That sounds fun.
Dan, Eve, prediction or story of the week? Go ahead.
Well, I predict that next week Tom will have better internet connection. Number one, I think that's fair to say. And the story of the week, I don't really have a story of the week. I've been chilling. England is grey and miserable right now. So yeah, not much is going on in Daneve Town, unfortunately.
Martin Wishmare, prediction or story of the week?
No real prediction. Story of the week is we've been busy, preparing for Bitcoin 2022. And as I said in last week's broadcast, we'll be giving away some tickets, but we'll also be giving away some industry passes, which are like the big tickets. So do follow us on social media. All the links are on generalbytes.com. And who knows, maybe you win.
How do you win?
We haven't decided yet, but we'll make some sort of like follow us on social media type of point collection thing, and then have the platform randomly select the winners. I think we've got like 7 or 8 tickets to give away plus industry passes. So wow. That's it's about 10K in prices. So it's like nice. I'd say go for it. So we haven't got the details yet. We're preparing. It's going to be a big event, and I'm a bit jealous. I also wanted to go to Anarachnopulco because that sounds like it's going to be lots of fun, but we'll definitely be there next year. Josh?
Nice.
Oh, I just wanted to add on the NFT hack story. There was another NFT theft story I was going to talk about a little bit. Ozzy Osbourne, the famous rocker, had put out some links, and these were supposed to be links to the Discord where you could get Ozzy's new, I don't know, crazy bats or something, batshit bats. And the problem was these links to the Discord were the wrong link. And they left them up on their Twitter account, and they're just like, oh, don't worry about it. It's a link to a bad link, right? Well, these hackers came along, created their own Discord, set it up to the link that Ozzy and the rest of his team has sent out. And suddenly all these old links are sending you to the hacker project. So a bunch of people lost their money that way too. So even if you're going to get the signature or whatever, it's not good if you don't get it from the right source. So you really got to watch out for yourselves on these NFT things. Story of the week, go 49ers. I'm about to turn it on. They're going to play the Green Bay Packers. I don't know if we have much a chance, but we're going to give it a shot. And well, hopefully the TV works. You never know about these Airbnbs. Also, shout out to Bill Gates and his great new book, which is really readable, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster. I think this is kind of important reading for everyone that lives on Spaceship Earth. We do have too much carbon in the atmosphere, and Bill Gates has some great ways for us to get rid of it. It's sorry, you got to read the book, Josh. You haven't read page 1 of the book, so we're just gonna go mute. And there we go. Because again, if you read the book, it's actually full of science. It is, man. I'm sorry. It's not about Bill Gates, the source. Like, try reading the book. Call me back when you've read the first chapter of the Bill Gates book, and then tell me how bad it is, because it actually seems to me as if it's the first comprehensive book on global warming that I've ever seen where it's human readable. I'm reading it, and he's talking about the green premium that we have to pay. If we want to upgrade fuel, we'd have to pay, 100% more. If we want to upgrade our electrical system, we'd have to pay 300% more. If we want to upgrade how we make cement, we're in real trouble. So again, these things are going to happen, and you think everything's a conspiracy theory, but try Bill Gates's book. He's only written one other book. I read that one too, The Road Ahead, and that was in the 90s. And he talked about how someday I'd have a home server that would do all my internet stuff, because he didn't see the internet, but he was right about the home servers. I do have one, and I'm happy. So.
Just a small question. Isn't the greenest decision not to buy the book and get the ebook instead? Because, he's talking about all this carbon emissions, but imagine how much trees had to die for printing that book. Yeah. I mean, really, it's like
private jets, all that stuff.
Book signings, shit everywhere in every mall in the States. No, I'm not buying this book story, Thomas. I'll skip it.
You can still download it from wherever you download your ebooks, and you can pay for it or not pay for it. But I do think that we have too much carbon in the atmosphere, 51 billion tons, according to what I've been reading. And he breaks it all down. He breaks down the percentages. It's interesting to learn that transportation, we focus so much on electric cars and batteries and all this stuff. Really only 25% of the total problem. We still have problems with how we create steel, how we create concrete, how we create energy to run our homes and our businesses, and that it's a combination of these solutions. That's why it's so difficult to tie down this problem. And as we can see with the weather and the environment and everything around us, which has become incredibly objective lately, every year for the rest of time will be the hottest year on Earth. So good luck with ignoring that one. And
gonna have a nice summer.
Yeah,
that's good news for England. Shitty old England.
As Deke Jackson used to say on the FKN news, he used to say, "The planet's fucked. It's all your fault, and there's nothing you can do about it. Have a nice weekend."
No, it's the Bitcoin miners boiling the oceans. He mentions that too.
No, I didn't get to that at all, but that's a whole nother issue, and we have to figure out where we fit in with all of that.
Green.
But yeah, I do think that it's a major issue, and it's not going away. And the more information you have about it, the better off you and the world will be.
He doesn't read the audio book, does he?
I just want to have a nice warm summer. And I don't want to live in a wooden shack. I want to live in a concrete house. And if they build it strong enough,
don't eat bugs.
No way. We eat meat and beef and chicken.
It's interesting. He mentioned in the book that Thomas Edison was very fascinated by concrete houses, concrete furniture. He even tried to build a concrete record player.
Concrete record player.
And of course, concrete has all kinds of problems because it has carbon in it, and carbon in the concrete makes it strong. We have to burn a bunch of stuff to make the concrete. It's incredibly complicated. You should check out the book, Josh.
It's a cool
really nice information on science in there. So
get rid of all carbon-based life forms.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not actually what he says
silicon,
though, in the
have
book.
More silicon. That's what Bill would like.
Yes.
The only way we can be sure is to nuke it from Earth.
Anyway, just give everyone VADES through the vaccines. That's the way.
And we're back.
Everyone has AIDS. AIDS. AIDS.
9 billion people have the vaccine, so I'll wait to drop dead anytime soon. Now.
Okay, we went
it hasn't happened yet.
We went from carbon emissions to vaccines in what, 30 seconds?
We can't talk about it. We don't want the show to be cancelled.
No, because we'll get warnings. Thomas will be demonetized, or the show will be removed. No advertisements will show. No, there are no advertisements on this show.
Just ones for Voltoro.
And General Bites.
Oh yes, we'll be right back after this break.
I think we're gonna head towards the end of the show anyway. Thanks everybody for joining us. Sorry about all the terrible internet. They said they had internet in this Airbnb. They obviously have it in the house for the normal people, but not for the stupid Airbnb. So, and I tried my phone too. It was even worse. Even worse internet on my phone. So, oh well. You do the best you can. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Give us a thumbs up down below. Push subscribe. And let us know your thoughts in the comments. We come back and read them. They're not that many. So you can put some more comments in there. I'll read them. But thanks so much. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.